Remembering President George H.W. Bush, it's our top story this morning as the nation prepares to bid farewell to its 41st president. Lawmakers and citizens of all political persuasions are remembering Mr. Bush as a devoted career public servant and a decent man who put the interests of the country ahead of himself. The former president passed away on Friday at the age of 94. His passing comes just months after former First Lady Barbara Bush died. The former first couple had 5 living children and 1 daughter who died from leukemia back in 1953. The Bush family is sending formal invitations to a memorial service this week. It's being called the Service of Celebration and Thanksgiving for George H.W. Bush. The former president's life motto is quoted on the invitation reading, "Any definition of a successful life must include service to others." Well, here's how the week will play out. Today, the president's remains will arrive in Washington and he will lie in state at the Capitol through Wednesday. The funeral then is set for Wednesday at Washington National Cathedral. It's set to be attended by President Trump and other dignitaries. Mr. Bush will then be returned to Houston for burial Thursday at his presidential library at Texas A&M University. A lot will be happening in Washington this week as the nation mourns the 41st president, and that's on top of what was already set to be a busy week in the nation's capital. This Friday is the deadline for Congress to pass a spending plan to avoid the president's threat of a government shutdown. However, President Trump is now saying he's considering an extension in the wake of President Bush's death. Well, members of Congress continue to remember the former president, and many are releasing statements in the wake of his death. U.S. Republican Senator Pat Toomey says, quote, "President George H.W. Bush was a great American patriot, dedicated public servant, tireless humanitarian, and a caring family man. Chris and I join the nation in mourning President Bush's passing and send our condolences to his family." And Toomey's Democratic counterpart, Senator Bob Casey, tweeting this over the weekend, "From his time in uniform to his days in Congress and ultimately in the White House, President Bush served our country honorably and with distinction for over 40 years. My prayers are with him and the Bush family at this time." And one of our political insiders is recalling his time working with President Bush. Charlie Giroux met the president while working on Ronald Reagan's campaign in the 1980s, before the two joined forces as running mates.
But it was George Bush himself who, at Ronald Reagan's funeral, said, "All the really good things I learned about politics in this country, I learned from Ronald Reagan." And that, I think, was a symbol of the relationship that those two men developed, one-time rivals who became not only great allies, but really deeply personal friends.
Giroux says President Bush and Barbara were some of the most compassionate people he's ever known. Well, Mr. Bush's spokesman has posted a touching photo of the late president's service dog lying in front of a flag-draped casket. Take a look. The caption reads, "Mission complete." Sully accompanied the president one last time on a flight to the nation's capital for memorial services. Bush received Sully in June to help him with his Parkinson's disease. The Labrador will now go back into service to help other veterans. And this is a look at the train that will transport President Bush's casket Thursday to College Station, Texas, before he is laid to rest. Union Pacific locomotive number 4141, was unveiled in 2005 as a symbol of patriotism. It was painted in the same colors as Air Force One. And be sure to stay with CBS 21 as we continue to honor the life and legacy of President Bush. We will have continued coverage of his services as they happen throughout the week.
Well, a little damp and foggy overnight, but we've seen the winds pick up here over the last hour or so, and that is helping to kind of scour out the fog. We've got winds out of the west right now, 14 miles per hour in Lancaster, 10 in Lewistown, and 11 in State College. It is going to be a bit breezy throughout the day today. You notice Lebanon still down to less than a mile of visibility, so do watch out for some patchy dense fog in the Lebanon Valley right now. Today we're partly cloudy. It is breezy at times. Highs getting into the low 50s. Those winds all part of a cold front. You can see we are going to be colder, but with some sunshine both tomorrow and Wednesday.
We'll get in and check in on things around the York Split this morning where we're doing A-OK. If you're heading out the door and heading in that direction, you're in the clear. No delays, no accidents, nothing like that so far. Everything on the PA Turnpike is moving A-OK. If you're heading up further towards the Capitol Beltway, no issues on 581 from Camp Hill, making your way onto 83 or 83 as you navigate the Eisenhower Exchange towards 283. That's Look at Your Members First Traffic Alert.
Authorities say a couple's dispute in Lower Windsor Township, York County, ended with a man dousing himself with gasoline and threatening to kill himself, his girlfriend, and their child. Police say 26-year-old Timothy Gile was taken to a hospital for a mental health evaluation following the confrontation on Thursday. Authorities say when Gile and his girlfriend started arguing, she took the baby to the home's detached garage, and that's when he allegedly nailed the door shut before spreading the gas in what police say was an attempt to kill himself and his family. Police say the fire did not catch. Autopsies are scheduled today for 2 men killed in a weekend crash in Newberry Township. It happened Saturday morning along Old Trail Road. Police say the vehicle hit a tree and the 2 men in the back seat died at the scene. They have been identified as 25-year-old Ryan Klaber and 26-year-old Joseph Stevens, both of Enola. 2 other people were taken to the hospital. No word on their conditions this morning. A York County family is left with nothing ahead of the holidays after a massive fire tore through their Shrewsbury Township home. These pictures are sent to us from Kirsten Treaster. She tells us her Aunt Michelle was severely burned in this fire Friday night and had to get surgery. She lost everything, including 4 family pets. And on top of that, there was no insurance on the items inside. A GoFundMe has been set up to raise money for medical bills and to help the family get back on their feet. And we have a link on our web, cbs21.com. The West Manchester Township Fire Department has a new truck and it's now ready to roll. The department held a housing dedication and blessing ceremony to welcome the newest addition to the fleet yesterday. Firefighters say it's more than a truck. It's a symbol of a merger between the Lincoln Way Fire Company and the Shiloh Fire Company.
Apparatus obviously wears out after time, but this one's extremely special for us because it's identical to our sister station. When we created a one department concept, it's now showing us that we have one because it's the same engine across this township.
The idea for a merger started in 1992 and now it's finally come to realization. A piece of Central Pennsylvania history is slated for some major upgrades. CBS 21's Joe Ducey is live outside the Fulton Theater in Lancaster County with a look at what's in store for the iconic Playhouse. Morning, Joe.
Hey Sherry, good morning. Today will mark a new chapter for the Fulton Theater here in downtown Lancaster. There'll be a groundbreaking today to commemorate the next phase of the theater's $29 million renovation. The focus of this phase of the project will be on the portion of the structure along the 100 block of West King Street, which you're looking at right now. Plans include rebuilding the historic storefront along West King Street for new retail space and transforming the top 3 floors above the storefront into newly renovated apartments to serve as on-site housing for guest actors. Late next year, the expansion project will continue with plans for a skylit atrium lobby that will bridge the theater's existing lobby and the Fulton's education building along Grant Street, and a performance and rehearsal studio that will allow cast members to rehearse full productions right on site. Earlier this year, the Fulton completed the first stage of the renovation, which included upgrades to lighting and sound. This morning's groundbreaking is at 10 o'clock. Reporting live in Lancaster, Joe Ducey, CBS 21 News.
Thank you, Joe. President Trump plans to get rid of NAFTA, the steps that need to be taken by the U.S., Canada, and Mexico in order for NAFTA to go away, and the plan that will replace it. Plus, the Kansas City Chiefs' former star running back speaks out. Hear from Kareem Hunt. Hear what he has to say about the video that shows him assaulting a woman.
Well, we've got a little bit of patchy fog here as we start the day. The breezes are going to pick up. I'll let you know when our skies are going to clear with my first morning forecast.